It's my pleasure to introduce Maureen Muldoon. Maureen is the spiritual director of Speakeasy and challenges us to live an authentic life in flow with the universal law. She is a devotee of the Divine Mother and draws inspiration from A Course in Miracles and other non-duality teachings. She's also an international speaker, writer, and storyteller who believes in the miraculous power of storytelling for healing and transformation. Maureen.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you, everyone. It feels so good to be here this morning. I'm so grateful. And we have a great lesson. The lesson is 182. I will be still an instant and go home. And I've heard from a little bird that we might even hear that song. I'll be home for Christmas. So blessed. We're so blessed by so many people in our community. When we think about home, when I was a little kid, I grew up with 7 siblings, and my mom would get us the Christmas pajamas, or maybe it was my Aunt Caroline, but they were all matching. And on Christmas Eve, we would get into their pajamas. We were so excited to wear matching pajamas. And in the morning, we would come down the stairs, and my father would have this big camera and this light that was so bright that you literally couldn't look, like you couldn't open your eyes. You were like blinded literally by the light, and you were trying to find your way to the Christmas tree to see if you had actually made the list. And each year there would be that moment of shock and awe when we would realize that we did make the list. We were not on the bad list. We had made the good list, that Santa had loved us. And then came that afterglow of looking around the living room and seeing all the kids in my family who had also made the list. And even my brothers, who were notoriously terrible children. They were notoriously bad, but no one got left off the list, as my parents had promised that we might. And then there was this awe of innocence that we received, the true gifts of Christmas, the feeling of being at home with each other. So beautiful. And as my siblings grew up, they'd go off to school or, married life. And most often we would all try and get ourselves home for Christmas. But the transformation happened in that it was no longer whether or not you were on the good list, but if you got to be with each other, like that was the true gift, because they felt like home to me. And when they were not there, something felt like it was missing. Our souls long for this. We long for that feeling of home. That time of year when we get to put a halt to everything, and we get to turn away from the phone calls and the emails and the text messages, and just tune into ourselves. And lesson 182 says, I will be still an instant and go home. It's this invitation that stirs so much within us, this idea of getting still and getting to get still. Winter has its way of making us feel still, because it has those darker hours and those chilly weathers that make us want to just hang out on the couch with a hot cup of cocoa and watch the fake TV on your TV screen. At least that's what I do. We don't have a fireplace, but Will puts on YouTube, and we can sit there for hours looking at this YouTube video because, it looks like a fireplace with the crackling sounds and everything. It's just wonderful. But anyway, it's this time of year that ignites this longing that calls this thing called home. Because for many of us, we equate this idea of home with this unconditional love where you can just be, where you don't have to explain yourself or prove yourself, and where you're loved as is, where people know your warts and riddles and past discretions, and you've been forgiven and remembered and included and absolved of it all. It's lovely. And we yearn for this sense of home, even if you've never experienced that idea of unconditional love, even if you never had that type of home. We want it. We still dream about it. Like that song, I'll Be Home for Christmas. It says, Christmas Eve will find me where the love light gleams. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams. And so we literally dream about this space of grace. It's a lovely song. It's a lovely idea. But even in the song, there's this sense of knowing that this idea, this love, this beauty is not a reality. It can only happen in my dreams. And why is it only happening in my dreams? Like, why do I live too many hours with my nose pressed to the pane glass window of my wanting to come home to myself? And there's only one answer to that riddle. It's because we fear our brilliance and we feel like we're not worthy to receive that. when we recognize we're the only thing that blocks us, the ego might perk up and say, no, it's not you, it's them. They're not nice, or they're lopsided, broken down people that I've been born into and they never loved me. But it's not them. I will get what I believe I am worthy of. Or as they said in that movie, Thelma and Louise, you get what you settle for. And so if you don't have that home of peace, you might tend to relegate that to just something you dream about, and you might judge everyone for not living up to your dreams. But here's the thing, you are worthy. And dreaming of Christmas is not the same as having Christmas. And dreaming of home is not the same as being in that sense of home. And we cannot have Christmas in our dreams. It's impossible to dream of Christmas and actually have the reality of Christ's Mass of Christmas. And so, like all good and beautiful and innocent children of the world, we need to wake up. We need to wake up and face the brilliant light of our Father's love, even if it's so bright that it blinds us. We need to wake up. We need to wake up and accept our innocence and receive our gifts. We need to wake up. That's the prerequisite. If we wake up, then we can experience the true reality of Christmas or Christ Mass. I'll Be Home for Christmas is one of those songs that can just stir that invitation in our hearts. It's this gentle awakening to the prodigal sons and daughters who are like, yeah, I want that. I want to go home. I want to be at home in myself. And we wear this weary path. We wear ourselves thin with it, stumbling through these weird relationships in classrooms and books and programs, hoping to find our way home. And it's so surprising and maybe a little bit unsettling when we finally realize that what we're seeking is seeking us. And I think somebody said that in the earlier conversation, that what we're seeking is seeking us, that what we're ignoring is imploring our attention. And sometimes when these things that we've been ignoring finally really get our attention, they leave us stymied a bit, and it will get us still. We'll go, oh God, I need to address that before it envelops me. And that's okay. We can do that. We have it within us. As Glenda said to Dorothy, you had it in you all the time. This thing that you're seeking is seeking you. I said the other morning on one of the miracle calls, that you can call off the search. We found her. We found ourselves. We can stop seeking. In that song, Amazing Grace, it says, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was saved, and now I'm free. And we are the ones who are saving ourselves. Your consciousness is your home. Your consciousness is what you actually live in. You don't have to work for that. You have the consciousness of one who is incredibly loved. You have this consciousness. It's been given to you. It might appear that you have the consciousness of one who's been abandoned or unloved. And if you think you have that consciousness, don't worry about it, because you can heal that consciousness. You can expand that consciousness. In the Gospel of Thomas, it says, what you bring forth within you will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what is within you will destroy you. The gospel of truth says it another way. It says, this is the perfect day. Within you dwells a light that cannot fail. Are you bringing forth the knowing of your unfailable self? Are you even entertaining that? This bringing forth, this remembering, this returning to peace, this healed consciousness is what is within us. We get to demonstrate that. We get to demonstrate that. Or we get to be destroyed by the fears that attempt to block that love. Those are the choices on the menu. So we here in A Course in Miracles, we're called to heal those blocks of love, those blocks to love, rather. And how do we do that? Well, just like this little lesson says, it says, I will be still. It says, starters, just get still. I will be still an instant and then go home. And when we get still an instant, when we really get still for an instant, we can return to that place of peace with all the bells and whistles that come with it. And when you've experienced, and I know that you have, experienced that glimpse of peace that settles you into this space of awe, What comes with it is a sense of comfort and safety and connection and solutions and solutions and solutions where we once saw dead ends. Is there anything more nurturing and nourishing and kind and gentle than the feeling of being at home in yourself that you get when you get still? No matter the condition, no matter what happens on the exterior, it comes down to this practice of being still and knowing God. That's the prerequisite. This awareness does not rest on the conditions of the world. It doesn't change regardless of who is there or who is not there, whether you have, a fake fireplace or a real fireplace. When you are at home within yourself, when you practice that, you can reach this internal and eternal state of grace. You have that corridor in your consciousness. This is our true residence. This is your true residence. This is where you really live. And I know that we can get co-signed with all the weary wonders of the world and distractions of the world to say nobody actually lives there, maybe Eckhart Tolle, you know what I mean? But no, all gifts are equally given to all sons of God. And when you know your innocence, you feel at home with all things. When you know your innocence, you feel at home with all things. So one of the possibilities of not arriving at that state of grace is the addiction to guilt. So we got to look at that. So when you know you're innocent, you begin to feel at home with all things. And what comes next when you experience that is a sense of joy, maybe even a type of joy that could be described as bliss. And when that comes, you can be sure that you have actually arrived at least on the front lawns of awakening. And you have already experienced that, so it seems like you're probably waking up. And when you make it to the front lawns of awakening, it's only a matter of time before you slip past the threshold and experience the full blaze of your God's love, the awareness of your unity with all things. There's no place where God ends and you begin. You're like a sugar cube that melts into the hot tea of the divine, and you spontaneous both lose yourself and find yourself. And the seeking ends and the sublime begins. And what is the sublime? The sublime is, according to the dictionary, it's this experience of excellence and grandeur and beauty so inspiring that it causes awe. You ever see kids at Christmas morning? You know what awe looks like. You felt it in your bones. I made the good list. And so that's where we're headed, to maintain that state of grace. That's our home. That's where we live. And until that day of awe comes, when we slip past the threshold, what we do is that we, you know, like until we arrive at the front yard of God, what we do is we do our best to make the pilgrimage, and we make it our goal to surrender our fears and fixations on our guilt and the guilt of our brothers. That's big work, and we become devoted to our return, and we move along with Mary and Joseph and the rest of the, pilgrimage to witness this miracle of the birth of Christ that happens through us, not to us. And we'll ensure our journey is smooth and steadfast by remembering that we're miracle workers and that our sole role is to shine equally on all things without judgment or condition. And this is where the path gets real narrow, because this is where our ego might start screaming, pump the brakes, hold up, hold up, hold up. Equally on all things? No way, Jose. No, not the noisy neighbor, not the drunken uncles. We can't love them equally, man. Not the Jews, not the Muslims, not the Christians, not the Baha'is. We got to love the New Agers equally, the atheists, the Republicans, the blacks, the whites, the Democrats. Surely you can't mean everyone. This is not really a joke. These are the bigger questions that are actually the threshold to get us into that state of grace, because our ego is not the shooter, not the scammer, not the bigot, not the misogynist. Please, dear God, do we have to love the misogynists? How the heck are we going to see Christ Mass if we refuse to see Christ en masse? How are we going to see Christmas if we refuse to see God in all of her elaborate disguises? Now, I'm not saying that it's easy, but I am not willing to say that it is hard, because here's the thing: you are powerful. You are powerful beyond measure. You have the ability to embrace all of these shifting forms and shifty people, because you can remember that there was a time when you wanted to go home. They're no different than us. They're no different than you. They just want to go home. They want to belong. They want to be included. They're worthy. They're deserving of our love and appreciation, even if we don't like them. We're responsible for loving them. And besides, you don't own them. They're just passing by as your master teacher. But if you judge them, if you hate them, if you attack them, you have failed the test, and they will own you. And you do not want to be owned. You want to be home. And although owned and home sound very similar, they are very different. One is a prison and the other is a paradise. So the first step to escaping this prison, bringing heaven to earth and turning an ancient hatred into a current love, is to stay neutral. That's a powerful place to be. It sounds insane that we could stay neutral, but you could. We're not designed to judge anyhow, and we will do it only if we forget ourselves. And we know when we forget ourselves because we are in defense or attack or control or some other illusory state that blocks the love of God. So we might want to take a moment to like check in right now. Like, is there a place or relationship where I'm in defense or attack or control or fear? Or I'm even just a shade unloving? Is there a place where I have a hierarchy where I'm like, this person's good, this person not so good? Do we have a good list and bad list? Do we have a naughty and nice list? It's okay. It's okay if we do, man. But we get to look at it. And then we get to say, like, what would it take? Like, what would it take for me to change my mind and offer love here instead? Because here's the thing. What I give out into the world returns to me multiplied abundantly. You don't have the time, you don't have the bank account to spend hatred on anyone, because it will come back tenfold, man. This is almost like a self-resourceful tool. And when it comes into your awareness, when a person, place, or thing that seems to ruffle your feathers comes into your awareness and you're able to love it, like if you feel it, as I think Maisie was saying earlier, like you got to feel it and then you get to heal it. And this is alchemy, man. This is, your kindness, your generosity, your bravery is stunning in moments like this. Now, when something comes into your awareness and it ruffles your feathers and you fear it and you fixate on it and you want to control it, and you move into the words and actions that tell that story, and you don't welcome it in and you don't accept it, it will cause that thing to feel guilty and confused. And in your judgment and your rejection of this thing, you tether yourself to it. You tether yourself to that person, place, or thing. And when you treat someone like a predator, you become the prey. What else can they do? You have assigned them this role. You have decided that they are the bad guy. And so you get on this triangle with them. You've cast them with your thoughts, and the world will gladly respond to your fears and your faith in equal enthusiasm. So you get to decide, which is a really great awareness to have right now. I stopped by my neighbor's house. She was outside vigorously raking her leaves, and I just love her. You would love her too if you knew her. You think I can talk. She can talk so much, but I just love her. And when I asked her how she was doing, she let me know, not good, unsafe and rattled, and that she was not feeling powerful. She was feeling actually very powerless. And there was these shootings and there's poverty and there's these marginalized people. And I wanted to tell her, but you are powerful. You are so powerful. I wanted to give her like what I get in the Course in Miracles in chapter 21. It says, do you see that all of your misery comes from a strange belief that you are powerless? But I didn't say that to her. Didn't say that to her. Instead, I said, I bet it feels really good to rake those leaves, because the leaves are something that she could control. and something that she could configure into little doable piles, and leaves were a place where she could at the very least feel, helpful and powerful. And you know what? That's good. That's a good thing. If you feel powerless, if you feel helpless, go find the little places where you feel empowered and start to focus on those places. Go brush your teeth, go make your bed, go walk your ass around the block and remind yourself you're an extension of God's love. God is powerful and I must be empowered. And do it until you retain that space of grace so that you can face the bigger things. But a Course tells us that helplessness is the cost of sin. I know. So you're not helpless, you're powerful. Sin is an illusion. If you see yourself as helpless, you must have forgotten that you are an extension of God's love and you have nothing to fear. How could you be afraid? Fear in that scenario is a joke that makes people look like jackasses. Sure, Mary rode a jackass, a donkey to Bethlehem, but she did not let that donkey ride her. She may have had fears, but this was her calling, and she rode above her fears. You let your fears ride you and you go nowhere. We see fearful people all the time that end up looking like idiots, embarrassing. They look crazy because fear makes you look like you lost your mind, giving away all your power. Only the insane will genuflect to their own inadequacies. That is not you, my friend. You are powerful. Today we're talking about establishing our place at home, and that place at home is in the peace and power of God. We don't talk much about the power of God or our connection with it, but that is the truth. It's quite powerful who you are. And you can't get to that space of grace and peace if you go in fear. Fear will debilitate your power. And you can't go with a knife in your brother's back, and you can't go in the judgment within your heart. Your innocence and the innocence of your brother is the price that allows you to move through the threshold to the sublime state of grace that is your home. This past week, I saw a video of this woman who was saying that she had gotten out of this religious cult and she found Jesus. And she went on to say that this religious cult was this theology called Science of Mind. And I was like, what? I was like, okay, wow, because that was actually one of the philosophies that I found great healing in, which I credit in preparing my mind to receive, deeper ways of seeing the teachings of Jesus Christ as offered in A Course in Miracles. And I guess I was a little stymied because I've heard people run down Catholicism and Judaism and Muslim, but I never heard anybody kind of attack Science of Mind. And her beef was that they don't recognize, people in the community of Science of Mind don't recognize Jesus as their Lord and Savior. And I was like, newsflash, I don't think the Jews do either. I'm pretty sure the Muslims and the Baha'is don't, but you wouldn't call them a cult. But here's the thing, that's besides the point. The actual point is, nothing is worthy of your attack or judgment. God lives in all things if we're willing to see it. Ernest Holmes, who I wanted to mention because he is the founder of Science of Mind, and I love that his last name is Holmes since we're talking about going home. He's actually a great philosopher who spoke and wrote many, many books about the meaning and significance of Jesus's work, and through his Ernest's devotion to the principles of Christ consciousness and concepts, he actually taught a lot of other people, how to start doing the greater work that Jesus said that we could and should. But it's interesting, like how we want to just kind of throw people under the bus. What do we get from that? As we stand by as innocent bystanders? I don't know. We look across the pond at the bloodbath happening in the name of religious authority, but we don't have to look too far right here, to see the carnage of our own spiritual superiority. That's not where you'll find your power. Don't go there. You won't find power there. I usually have to say this. I feel like I have to say this. This is usually what my mouth says around this time of year. Jesus is public domain. No one has authority to tell you how to connect with your higher power, or what their name should be, or if you do or don't have the correct Jesus, or if you do or don't deserve Jesus, or that Jesus only loves you if you acknowledge him as your Lord and Savior, because that's not true. Because if you have to do anything anything at all to deserve Christ's love, then you render that love conditional. And Christ would be less than the sun who falls equally on all things. And if love is conditional, newsflash, it's not love, because love in its very nature is not conditional. But if you believe in a God that is conditional, it will allow you to be conditional in your love, and you will find yourself demonizing anything that's not in alignment with your personal preferences out of an allegiance to fear. Let's not call that love. That would just be mislabeling fear so that it could do some damage, you know? So maybe we should stop giving God such bad PR. You know, that's fear, not love. It's fear, not love, that's responsible for school shootings and our obsession with guns. It's fear, not love, that's responsible for poverty. It's fear, not love, that is responsible for, people saying my religion is better than your religion. I mean, that only comes from fear. Love would never say that. And if you believe in a savior that represents unconditional love, you should probably stop, all your conditional lovelessness. It's fear, not love, that's responsible for hate speech and hate crimes towards marginalized people. It's fear, not love, that evicts you from your sanity and leads you into judgments and attacks and spiritual superiority that serves no one but your ego. It's fear, and fear is simply a sign. Fear is simply a little teeny postcard from your consciousness that says this person is afraid. And you know what, my love? Being afraid is totally forgivable. You don't judge a frightened child. That's not helpful. Loving a frightened child is the only thing that's helpful. And not only is it the only thing that's helpful, it will be the only thing that helps. Love is the only thing that will help. And in our dedication to be happy and helpful, people, we have the power to choose again anytime we've forgotten that. We can choose again by knowing in God there's nothing to fear. We have simply fallen asleep and we need to wake the fork up. What you thought your brother did or didn't do has no impact on your holiness. What you thought you did or didn't do does not impact God's love for you. But if you should accuse anyone of anything, you will begin to fear the ramifications of those accusations and begin to build yourself a witch hunt, and you will begin to slip into insanity. You've done it before, you'll do it again. I've done it before, I'll do it again. But the way out is simply this. Ask yourself, would I accuse myself of doing this? Because when you're pointing a finger out at the world, there's three pointing back at you. And if you spot it, you got it. And we will project all our sins on our brothers because misery loves company. And all of your misery comes from the strange belief that you are powerless. That's a direct quote from A Course in Miracles. All your misery comes from the strange belief that you are powerless. That's just a silly game that children play, when we close our eyes and pretend we're invisible. But God laughs and says, I see you. Even in your forgetfulness of yourself, I see you. Not only do I see you, but I love you. And I see you as good and beautiful and holy and powerful, and I will never change my mind about you. Have you ever entertained that God that sees you as powerful and capable and responsible? All of our distractions and attempts to hide have no impact on God's brilliance that lives within us. Accepting God's unconditional love is a way to come home. In fact, it might be the only way to come home. But here's the thing, we have to remember, and again, this is where the road gets thin. God does not play favorites. Everybody's on the good list. If you have some God that's playing favorites, you're not at God's house. You're standing on the laws of conflict and conditional love, attempting to convince yourself that you are worthy of a broken down excuse for a God. And that is not your home. You will find no peace there, only pieces. So choose again. You will know your true home when it includes everyone equally, when there's no bouncer at the door and no VIP room and no special handshake, where all are invited, even the brothers who are notoriously bad. They still make the good list. And thank God that you do not get to decide that. And thank God that I don't get to decide that. We don't have to. God has made up her mind. And as you surrender into this unconditional love, you will find joy in the wide embrace of God that includes everyone. Your true home leads to immeasurable happiness. The only thing that needs to be surrendered at the door of this true home is the investment of guilt, yours or anyone else's. So Sing a Christmas carol of inclusion this year, of peace, of joy this season. And as we continue the holy pilgrimage home, we do it together, guided by love, a holy vision, a northern star, and some mighty, mighty companions. Just look around this group. You've got yourself some mighty companions. And remember, you are the manger that welcomes the Christ child. You are the prodigal son that returns to the grateful arms of his father. You are the impeccable daughter who cares for and carries that light of innocence to the world, and not the Jewish world, and not the Christian world, and not the atheist or the Muslim world, but the whole and holy world. There's no conditions in God's love. Do not allow your love to be conditional. Lay down your defenses, be still, and come home for Christmas. And that's the word.
Wow. Thank you, Maureen. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. Lisa Chiosek.
Easy is a non-for-profit community, and we exist on the generosity of our community members. We thank you for taking part of today and taking the opportunity to make a donation for today's daily bread. Your generous donations help us bring spiritual leaders, artists like the beautiful Macy Bowl, and speakers to Speakeasy Sunday service, and keep important conversations going. If you are spiritually fed by today's conversation, I invite you to go within and see what is yours to give. The donation link is in the chat, as well as our website, speakeasyspiritualcommunity.com. Thank you so much for your generous support.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you again, Maureen. Now it's time for the truly unique experience of our gathering, our community conversation. This is where we invite you to speak easily. Find your voice and your truth, and share your thoughts, inspirations, awareness, and your questions in community. When you feel called to share a question or comment, please raise your virtual hand, which is located in the Reactions tab at the bottom of your screen. Please leave your video on as we want to know and see you. So that's what we call a transmission in my movie. Yeah, my hair is blown back, my friend. That was absolutely what I needed to hear, and I'm sure that's true for all of us here today. Thank you. Who would like to pick up the thread of what Maureen has fearlessly and eloquently and dramatically and captivatingly laid down one more time? Can this woman talk and teach or what? Yes, go on.
Hi, I'm Elise. Oh, I just texted Maureen, but like my heart is like racing after that. That was so cool. I don't know. I know somebody had to say something first, and so here I'm just gonna break that. God, that was amazing. Okay, so last night I was doing this. I have got these new medicine cards. I got them at Joan Cusack, you know, the actor, owns a boutique a couple blocks south of Second City. She operates it. She's there all the time. So I bought this book and these tarot cards from it. It's like animal medicine. And yesterday I heard someone talk about a raccoon on the street. So I looked up raccoon. And I was just reminded during your spiel, Maureen, talks about how raccoons leave a watcher behind when raiding a campsite or mountain cabin, usually the dominant male. He was always fed first by the other raiders to honor his vigilance as the group's protector. The uncommon lack of greed is as rare in the world of humans as it is in the rest of the animal world. Then this is like the prey and the predator thing. While other creatures fight one another for the best of a kill, raccoon teaches the universal law of giving back to the source of your strength, guidance, and protection. You are also reminded that benevolence and generosity come around full circle to reward the giver. And then it says, if raccoon wandered into your cards today, the little bandit may be telling you to look around and see who needs your strength at this time. Speak up in defense of another instead of remaining silent while others are gossiping. And then later on, this was like, because I've had such a week of rebirth. It's been crazy, you know. I think everybody's kind of at this turning point, blah blah blah, tale as old as time. But at the end it says, if you're feeling drained, it may be time to receive the gratitude of those you have helped in the past. If you have been giving too much and have forgotten to honor your own needs, raccoon could be telling you to steal some time to be alone. The little bandit also reminds you to keep watch for takers. This is something I've been struggling with. I've got all these friends who I'm just trying to support. And the negativity is just like, but I just kept thinking, oh, I've got to give them the light. I've got to give them the light. But like, I don't have the light. My cup has, been pretty empty lately. So
Yeah.
I think, the little bandit reminds you, watch out for the takers who never give back. And then it says, keep yourself from feeding others who are too needy or too greedy. And that's not like they're permanently that way, but right now, balanced raccoon medicine does not waste its generosity on those who refuse to help themselves or are too lazy to contribute or learn self-reliance. There you go.
Man, that's a big chunk of interesting content right there that I would, first of all, interested to hear what you have to say about that too, Lou. But it can be there's so much there, Lise. You got to take it to the Holy Spirit every single time you have an interaction with another soul and really ask the Holy Spirit, what would you have me do? Because a lot of times my ego will say, I don't have it to give. And that's exactly when I actually learn that I am so much more powerful than I thought. And then at other times, I could be serving out of a sense of fear, which looks like people pleasing, and I don't even know I'm doing it. And I could be, kind of running myself exhausted, but thinking I have some sort of a tainted halo for sure. Like this is what a good person does. So, I mean, in regards to service, which I think is going to be our theme for the coming year, in the Course in Miracles, it says that we come together out of a mutual awareness of abundance. So if you don't think you have it, I would go back to the Holy Spirit and really ask, because you can't give what you don't have. And also, just like with the whole ramble about brush your teeth and go walk around the block, like, where is the water running fresh for you? There has to be one or two people in your life who are showing up as imbalance. Can't be a whole parade of needy people. So like, see if what you focus on increases, because if you continue to project, oh, everybody's needy and I have nothing to give, you don't want to regurgitate that story too much. You want to start looking at where you have beautiful, healthy relationships and then feed that. And then it will help you to come to those other relationships that might be out of balance in the moment, as you said, with a greater degree of compassion. But again, it's like, go to the Holy Spirit. But I got to tell you one thing, those animal cards were the first set of cards I ever got. I got them in California. I worked with this shaman. Man, she told me so much about myself, and she told me, don't read the book, just look at the card and ask the animal what the message is. And I love that Adriana's meditation with the cardinals and the little masked bandit or whatever you're calling it. So funny. I just love that. I just love that we're so connected with everything. Thank you for that.
Beautiful. Regina. Thank you, Lisa.
Lise, last week I got to speak after you, and you bring so much to the conversation, and it always inspires me to talk. So I just want to thank you for that. And in listening to that card reading and just seeing, it's like one viewpoint, it's some information that we're getting. And I know that when I was stepping into spirituality and I would pull cards and I would take the context of it, I was missing so much by not having Course in Miracles or fully stepping into it. And since becoming a Course in Miracles student, and that was, 16 years ago, I studied it for 4 years and then I dropped off. And then I got to come back when Miracles Live came into my consciousness. And one of the things that I'm noticing is I want to use my voice more around the principles of A Course in Miracles, especially when I have friends coming into my life that are struggling with spirituality, or they're in one little crook of it, like there's a nook and cranny of it, and they're in one little nook. But the Course in Miracles for me just opened up to this expansive place of how I used to amputate. I don't do it as much anymore, but cut things off because of a misunderstanding of God and our oneness and love. And that's where I just have to just add that in, because I feel like I want to tell more people about A Course in Miracles, because that's what it's done for my life. It's just shown me so much more and making me look at so much more in a different way. And I don't think I'm quite articulating it in a very eloquent way right now,
It's
but I
perfect.
know what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah,
go
it's so perfect, and I know that your heart is pure, I remember when I first went to 12 step, I was going home to share the message with my family because I didn't want to heal myself. I was like, you guys, I found your problem. Here's all the program information. You need to go get fixed. So you do, any ears that are listening, you want to first make sure that your whole house is clean. You know what I mean? That you swept your doorstep. And I'm not saying that you haven't, Regina. I'm just bringing that up just for all of the ears.
yeah.
And then secondly, there's that beautiful prayer in A Course in Miracles. It says, if I need a word, if I need an idea, it will be given to me because I put him in charge. So the one that wants to share this is a little bit of the one that's in charge, because you don't have to worry about it. Holy Spirit's like, oh, this was sweet. You want to do my job? That all you have to do is be the embodiment of this. In the Course it says, you come together out of a mutual awareness of love, so a mutual abundance. So even with your friends, I mean, your heart is so pure that you want to help them, but you don't have to help them. Holy Spirit's going to help them through you. And all you need to do is just stay true to that, and then not worry about the timeline, because it might not be today. It might take, how many times did it take you to get hit across the head with a spiritual 2x4 before you were like, I need to put my nose to a book that's going to walk me home?
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying that. I don't think that like I said, I don't think my message is coming through, because I don't want to teach them or correct them. I just want to embody this. But we're talking about going into conversation on Tuesday, December 19th, to hear how we can spread the word about A Course in Miracles. And that's really where I'm going with this, is that we're going to be having a conversation at Speakeasy about Miracles Live and the places that we get blocked in sharing the goodness of it and what it is for us, because we might be afraid of what somebody might think of us being invested in Miracles Live or ACIM.
Yeah.
So,
Can I
yeah.
more? So, I mean, excuse me. Yeah, I totally related to what you were sharing, because I was with the Course weekly for about 4 years at Agape, actually, with Michael's brother there, Akile. And it was great. And then I left it for a few years. And now I'm in this process of coming back to it and rehearing it and relearning it and remembering it and reappreciating it, is what I want to say. And it's perfectly imperfect, the desire to share something and give something. And there is no, perfect way to do it. I mean, as a Virgo, I have to give up perfection daily. There's no perfect way to do it. I just get okay with that. This is my heartfelt desire, as Maureen is saying. You feel it in your heart. Give your heart to your head, give yourself to God, and God will create the opportunities. And it won't happen before or after the perfect time for each person. You don't make it happen. You let it happen. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Christina. And thanks, Lou. And we're going to have a conversation about and the thing is about having a conversation about how to share what lights you up is the type of tools that could help you in every area of your life. That is where we're literally looking at the blocks. What will they think of me? Will they think I'm a cult, like that girl who thought the Science of Mind was a cult?
Yeah, I've heard that one. Let's let Yoshi jump in here at the end. Yoshi, come ahead.
Yes, hello everyone. And it is so good to be with all of you. I find myself, when all of a sudden I have this epiphany, I just start laughing. It's like, it's so funny. It's just ridiculous. There's times I just, this is just ridiculous. You know, it was like, it was so clear, but I had, you know, the windows were all dirty. But at least I wanted to acknowledge what you were saying, because you know, what I felt you were saying is like, those are difficult but precious teachers, right? These, you know, people who we encounter, and it's like, I mean, I heard what you were saying about they're so needy, they're just, you know, so self-absorbed. And I saw something posted on Facebook that said, there are times you see someone and you know in that very moment you want to live without them. You know, it's like, oh my God, right? It's so true. But why am I drawn to that person then? Right? And I still don't know, other than, you know, whatever that feeling is of wanting to be, it's like, stop. That person is so toxic. That person is so needy. It's a drain. You
Yeah,
know,
but Yossi, that person is a call for love, and they're there for me, and so I either get to judge them or love them. In the course, it says you will either find yourself or lose yourself. And so that person is demonstrating for me something I don't want to look at. And what could it be? It could be many, many things. But one of the things it could be, in my mind, I hear, you don't have that much left to give. That person is a black hole. Okay. Okay. So then the next thing I hear is, don't worry about it. You're going to bookend it. You're going to love yourself up so much so that when you spend that 15, 20 minutes with them, you're just going to be an overflowing, you know, present, conscious person. And then you're going to go afterwards and you're going to take a shower. You're going to bookend it. But you're going to move through this because you're going to heal this, because that person, that is Christ. That person is Christ. And I can't say it enough. Do not amputate yourself, because we have enough of that in the world. Separation is not the answer. The answer is love. And if you can't do it in an overflowing and extravagant way, do it in thimbles and teacups. You can do that.
yeah. So what I hear you saying is that we need to acknowledge our abundance, that we are this deepest well, you know, that will never run dry.
Yes. You
Yeah.
are so powerful, and God will never ask you to do anything that requires a sacrifice. Never, 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 never. And so the only thing you're going to get likely to find is like, man, I was so much more powerful than I gave myself credit for. Wow.
Beautiful.